insights, picks, results. This is Wizard Sports Picks. Beyond the Lines.
Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Lines, presented by Wizard Sports Picks for Sunday, February 7th. Ian Cameron with you, and this is no ordinary edition of Beyond the Lines. This is the Super Bowl Sunday edition of Beyond the Lines. Let's get fired up. I am. It is Super Bowl Sunday. I know we're all excited. As you can tell, I am. We are going to crown another NFL Super Bowl champion between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. I will not only give you a opinion on the side and total in that game, but I will also give you a couple of player props that I have personally bet for the big matchup between the Seahawks and Patriots in Super Bowl 60. That is coming up in just a moment. But first, we have to take care of a few housekeeping details, and that is to remind all of you to check out wizardsportspicks.com each and every day. Tons of great handicappers on the website, a lot of them in great form right now. And for me, it continues to be a really strong run on the website, a great run in all sports over the last 30 days. If you look at the way things were for me going into Saturday's action, the last 30 days in all sports for me, Ian Cameron, at Wizard Sports Picks, 116-92, 56% winners, 13.5 units of profit in the last 30 days in all sports. Number one ranked in the NFL at Wizard Sports Picks this season, as well as number one ranked in the NHL this season at Wizard Sports Picks. So make sure you get on board, not just with my daily premium picks, but obviously a long-term subscription, 3-day, 7-day, 30-day, 1-year all sports subscription options available at the website. Also on the website, on the homepage, enter your email address to receive free picks sent to your inbox each and every day. Check it all out at wizardsportspicks.com. All right, let's talk a little Super Bowl 60. Seattle Seahawks, New England Patriots. We've got Seattle 4.5-point favorites. The total in that 45 to 45.5 range. Santa Clara, California, Levi's Stadium, home of the San Francisco 49ers. I'll start by saying I think the Seattle Seahawks are the better team. I think they're going to win this football game. I have personally bet Seattle minus 220 on the money line in this game. It's the primary bet for me on the Seattle side. But I do not feel comfortable. I do not feel like it's in the best interests of customers, clients, and subscribers for me to be selling a pick involving a minus 220 money line favorite. It's really that simple. I'm comfortable betting it. But I know there are some people out there that may frown upon and look down on, a minus 220 favorite being a pick that you make available for selling and for purchase. That I don't do. That I will not do. And those of you that have been following, the results for me at wizardsportspicks.com know that I rarely ever lay more than minus 140 or minus 150, or rarely will I ever release a pick, on a money line favorite of more than minus 140 or minus 150. So yes, I'm comfortable to bet Seattle on the money line, and I don't normally do that. Normally, if I like a favorite, I'll just lay the points. But we do know that underdogs in the last 5 Super Bowls, 4-1 straight up, 5-0 against the spread. Underdogs have done well in the Super Bowl in recent years, really ever since the pandemic season. We have seen underdogs do quite well here in the NFL Super Bowl. Maybe that continues here, and for that reason, I'm going to be personally with my own bet on Seattle, a little bit more cautious and go with the money line here. But that's not what I'm going to recommend as an official pick here on Beyond the Lines. I like Seattle to win the game, and I think they will win this game by putting up enough points to go over their team total. And that's the direction I'm going to go here in this video. Seattle Seahawks team total over 24.5, minus 114. That's the best number and price that I've seen out there, at a couple of prominent sports books. That is what I will go with. And here's why I think Seattle can go over the team total of 24.5. We know the New England defense has been great. There's no denying that. We know they have shut down the LA Chargers. They've shut down the Houston Texans. They've shut down the Denver Broncos and their 3 playoff wins. And there's no doubt that since Milton Williams got healthy and came back on the field, returning from injury, along that defensive line, we have seen this be a much better run defense in particular. And then you factor in him along that D line, and all of a sudden the pressure they're getting from a variety of different sources, the fact that they've got a terrific number 1 cornerback in the secondary and Christian Gonzalez. And you can see why the New England defense has the potential to be really, really good. But I think we cannot totally forget the circumstances of why the Patriot defense was just so excellent in the 3 playoff wins. The LA Charger offensive line was a shambles. It was a complete and utter disaster, really all season, especially the second half, and it continued in the playoffs. They lost 2 of their best offensive linemen. You could argue that they were their 2 best offensive linemen, Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater. Without those 2 players, Justin Herbert was scrambling for his life for most weeks, and it made him a much easier target for this strong Patriot defense to get after Justin Herbert. And that's exactly what we saw in the wild card game. So they shut down that Chargers offense. Okay, but the Charger offense was compromised. I think we can all agree on that. The Houston Texans game, it's not like Houston's offensive line's been any great shakes all year. They've spent most of the season at many football websites like Pro Football Focus, and there's others. And even just with the eye test, you could tell that the Houston offensive line wasn't great. They've had consistent issues. They had problems all year running the football consistently. And C.J. Stroud wasn't always given the time to find his receivers down the field. Well, sure enough, against Houston, against Houston, we saw the Houston offensive line struggle. They couldn't get the run game going. C.J. Stroud was under pressure. But what really made that defensive performance from New England look good against Houston was the fact that C.J. Stroud decided to be his own worst enemy. And just instead of taking a sack, instead of throwing the ball away, he would throw it to the other team and just try to force something that wasn't there, try to get rid of the ball and make a play under pressure. And that's when the turnovers just piled up on C.J. Stroud in a really horrendous performance that could have been avoided. Didn't need to be that bad of a performance. If you just eat the sack, take the sack, throw the ball away, maybe you're not going to put your team in that much peril. So give the New England defense credit, but man, C.J. Stroud definitely had a major hand in making the New England defense look as great as they did. Let's not forget that outside of, the drive where they scored in the first quarter, and then the drive where they had the Kayshon Boutte touchdown, New England's offense wasn't really matriculating the ball up and down the field against that Houston defense. So keep that in mind about that win against the Texans. And as for the defense, they played great again, but boy, the Houston's offense, and Stroud in particular, was the Houston's offense, maybe their own worst enemy, even more than what New England did to them. And then, of course, in the AFC Championship game, they got the benefit of Jarrett Stidham at quarterback, not Bo Nix, and it was a mess for Denver. Outside of a first drive touchdown, they didn't do much after that, and the struggles of a guy that hadn't thrown a regular season pass in years was quite evident. And then, of course, the snow and the wind came into play in the second half. So, yes, the New England defense has been great. And maybe they back it up, and maybe they show on Super Bowl Sunday that this is truly an elite defense that you cannot move it on them right now. Maybe they will show that on Sunday against Seattle, but I guarantee it that Seattle will prove to be a tougher offensive opponent for this New England defense than any of the 3 teams they've faced. They have to deal with Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's become a receiver that's almost unguardable. He finds ways to get open. Clint Kubiak, the great offensive coordinator, there's a reason he got hired as a head coach by the Raiders. He's done a great job. Finds a way to scheme him open, no matter what kind of defense they're facing. They got to deal with him. They got to deal with Kenneth Walker. They got to deal with a Seattle offensive line that has gotten a lot better down the stretch and into the playoffs. And they have to deal with a quarterback in Sam Darnold that is finally playing with confidence, finally letting the ball rip, and is having a ton of success. He's been accurate, he's been on point, and he is coming off the best game he's ever played in his NFL career with tons of confidence coming into this Super Bowl. And to me, Seattle's offense, based on the Chargers and their O-line problems, Houston's O-line problems, CJ Stroud's, mental mistakes throughout that game. And then Denver with Bo Nix out and Jarrett Stidham in. New England had lived a charmed life on defense too. They played well. Maybe they'll play well here, but let's be real. They have lived a charmed life on defense so far in their first 3 playoff wins. This will be a step up for the Patriots defense, and I think the Seahawks offense is good enough to be able to move the football and score points against the Patriots defense. And again, with this team total, we're not asking for 35 points out of Seattle because I don't think they're scoring 35. But get us to 27-28, which I think is doable in this game. And I think Seattle can get over that team total. So I will recommend Seattle team total over 24.5, -114 for Super Bowl 60. All right, let's get into a few props. I'm going to give you 3 props, 2 Seattle player props and 1 for New England. The first one for Seattle. While I was talking about how I think the Seattle offense will have some success here against New England's defense, even though they've played great, it's still a New England defense that can and will try to send pressure at Sam Darnold. It's been proven when Sam Darnold has had his bad games that the pressure put on him is what causes those bad games and those mistakes and those interceptions. Well, I think New England will try to rattle Sam Darnold. So if they try to do that, then he's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. Another thing to keep in mind is New England run defense has been phenomenal here in the playoffs. They have not given up 40 rushing yards to a single running back so far in the first 3 Patriots playoff games, which means it's going to be tough sledding for Kenneth Walker probably to run the football because New England's been great against the run, and they've only gotten better stopping the run since Milton Williams came back along the defensive line. So how then do you get the ball out of to Kenneth Walker if he's not going to have a ton of success running it? You throw it to him. And considering there should be some pass rush and pressure on Darnold at times, I think Kenneth Walker will be used as a pass catcher. He'll be used as a receiver. He'll be used in the screen game, the quick passing game, get the ball out. We saw Kenneth Walker go over his receiving yards prop in the NFC title game against the Rams, and I think he's even got a better chance of going over it here in this Super Bowl against this aggressive New England defensive front. So my first player prop that I'll recommend, we're going to go with Seattle Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker to go over 20.5 receiving yards, -130. My second Seattle prop, this is just value. He only had 1 catch last week, but he scored a touchdown on it for Seattle. And I read a story about how he's from, I believe, the Massachusetts area, Jake Bobo. I'm pretty sure I saw a story about that, and he's going to have probably some family and friends in attendance. Yes, North Andover, Massachusetts, going up here, obviously, against the team in that New England area, the New England Patriots. Jake Bobo, I think, can make 1 reception in this game. And the beautiful part about this is all he needs to do is catch 1 pass, catch 1 football, and the price for him to have 1 reception plus 175. I think he can have 1 catch. I think somehow, some way he'll get involved. He'll get the football from Sam Darnold. And the fact that he caught a touchdown pass, the first, pass, the first and only, reception he had last week against in the NFC Championship game 2 weeks ago, rather, against the Rams, means Sam Darnold should have some level of confidence throwing the football to Jake Bobo. So I will take the value there, and I think there's great value in it. Jake Bobo for the Seattle Seahawks, over 0.5 receptions, so pretty much to have at least 1 reception, plus 175. That'll be my second prop here on Beyond the Lines. And my third prop, we're going to go to the New England side for this one. 1 vulnerability in the Seattle defense, and we did see it, even though they beat the Rams, we did see it on display. They can get gouged and hurt by opposing tight ends. And that has been a bit of a bugaboo all season, really, for the Seattle Seahawks defense. They have been below average against tight ends, defending tight ends. Now, Hunter Henry, starting tight end for New England, had a very quiet game against Denver. But again, that was a game where Drake May only had 86 passing yards. The weather turned awful in the second half with the snow and the wind. and it just became one of those games where his production was minimal. But now he has an advantageous matchup. Seahawks, team has been below average defensively against the tight end position, and I think Drake May will find Hunter Henry and lean on him throughout various portions of this football game. So we're going to, after a dip in his production, in his receiving production against Denver in the AFC Championship game, I think now we buy the dip, and I think Hunter Henry will have a much bigger impact on this game. So Hunter Henry for New England, over 38.5 receiving yards, -110. That will be my third player prop for this game. This won't be an official one, but I just want to mention too, New England's numbers at times this year have also been a little bit shaky against tight ends. So maybe look to A.J. Barner for Seattle, whether it's over receptions or over receiving yards. That could also be something worth a look. There you have it. That is a betting preview of Super Bowl 60. I gave you a team total recommendation and 3 player prop recommendations. I will have an official side and total, or I will have an official top rated release on the game available for purchase at wizardsportspicks.com. But that's not all. I know the NFL season's over. Number 1 in the NFL on the website, but I'm number 1 in the NHL. The NHL's on Olympic break right now, but it will be back February 25th. Get on board for the rest of this NHL season. It's been a phenomenal season. We're already up almost 30 units in the NHL this season at Wizard Sports Picks. So make sure you get on board and make sure you check out not only me and the work that I provide, but all the great handicappers over at wizardsportspicks.com. That'll wrap up this edition of the show. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out. Enjoy Super Bowl 60. Good luck with all your wagers, and enjoy all your Super Bowl parties that you're going to be at. But enjoy the game. Hopefully it's a great game. Cash some tickets. Enjoy Super Bowl 60, and good luck. And thanks for watching the Sunday, February 8th edition of Beyond the Lines, presented by Wizard Sports Picks.